Welcome, dear dreamer. As you settle beneath your blanket, allow your body to soften with every breath. Inhale deeply through your nose and exhale slowly through your lips. Feel the calm rise within you, like a gentle tide washing over the shore of your mind. The world outside can rest for a while. This is your time to drift, to dream, and to wander softly into a story woven from peace and starlight. Whispers beneath the Adriatic sky. A sleep story of ancient shores and gentle discoveries. The night had folded softly over the Adriatic Sea. Its surface shimmered with ribbons of moonlight, and the faint hum of waves brushing the hull filled the air with a rhythm so steady it felt like a heartbeat of the earth itself. On the deck of a small research vessel, Dr. Elena Vassari, a marine archaeologist, leaned against the railing. The salt-touched wind caressed her face, carrying the faint scent of pine from the Dalmatian coast. For weeks, she had been tracing whispers of a forgotten civilization, said to rest beneath these calm blue waters. But tonight was not for discovery. It was for peace. The calm before dawn. Elena rose before sunrise, long before the rest of the crew stirred. She made herself a cup of coffee, dark, rich, and strong, just the way she liked it, and stepped barefoot onto the deck. The air was cool and clean. A thin silver line glowed on the horizon where the sea kissed the sky. The Adriatic was almost glassy, broken only by gentle ripples. The boat rocked slightly, and she steadied herself on the railing, watching the world bloom into color, pale pink, coral, and gold. She thought about how time behaved like the sea, how centuries could pass, yet some traces always remained, buried, waiting to be found. Her work was not about treasure or fame. It was about memory, the quiet kind that lived in stone and silt, in the echoes of walls that once sheltered lives long vanished. Breakfast by the blue. When the sun was high enough to warm the deck, the crew gathered for breakfast. There were just 6 of them, 2 divers, a historian, a young engineer, a cook, and Elena. They ate simply. Bread baked the night before, olives, figs, and slices of soft cheese. The cook poured honey over the figs, the scent of sweetness mixing with the briny breeze. Elena smiled faintly as she watched the sunlight dance over the waves. Each sparkle seemed to whisper something ancient, a name, a story, a lullaby from another age. They were anchored near a small island, uninhabited and rocky, dotted with wild herbs and pale stone ruins, the remains of an old Venetian outpost. Below, the sonar had shown faint geometric shapes on the seabed. That was where they would dive, into the blue. The sea was inviting, translucent turquoise shading into deep sapphire. When Elena slipped into her wetsuit and stepped off the boat, the water welcomed her like a cool embrace. With a gentle splash, she descended. Bubbles rose around her, catching the morning light in trembling orbs. The world below was hushed, a cathedral of water and light. Her heartbeat was slow, calm, steady. Then, as her torch beam cut through the blue, shapes began to form, the outline of stone walls, the curve of an archway, the faint carving of something human. She moved closer, brushing away a thin layer of sand. There, beneath her fingertips, was a mosaic. Tiny tiles still clinging together, forming the faded image of a dolphin. It took her breath away. She hovered in the water, gazing at it, the art of a hand that had vanished perhaps 2,000 years ago. Time had not erased it completely. It had merely hidden it, like a secret meant to be rediscovered. For a long while, Elena floated there, feeling the vastness of the sea around her, the weight of history pressing gently yet kindly on her chest. When her air gauge reminded her of the present, she ascended slowly, letting her body rise through bands of light and shadow, until she broke the surface and exhaled into the sunlight. Afternoon reflections. After the dive, the boat hung softly as it drifted. The others rested or logged data, but Elena found a quiet corner beneath the shade of the awning. She opened her field notebook, its pages already warped slightly by sea air, and sketched the mosaic. Each line was a meditation, each shape a breath. The sea stretched endlessly before her, a deep indigo now that the sun stood high. The rhythmic sound of waves against the hull lulled her into stillness. She thought of the people who once built those mosaics, how they too must have sat by the shore, feeling the same breeze, hearing the same music of the waves. She felt an invisible thread connecting her to them, not through time, but through the simple act of noticing beauty. The Island of Light. By late afternoon, the captain steered the vessel closer to shore. They anchored in a crescent-shaped cove where the water turned from blue to clear emerald. Seabirds wheeled lazily overhead, and the scent of thyme drifted down from the rocky cliffs. Elena decided to swim to the beach. The water was warm now, silky against her skin. She floated on her back, letting the sun spill over her face, the sky a perfect vault of endless blue above. Beneath her, she could see the faint outlines of stone foundations, more ruins stretching quietly under the waves. She felt utterly weightless, not only in body but in mind. There was nothing to solve, nothing to reach for. On the shore, she found a half-buried piece of pottery. Its surface was rough, the glaze faded, but it carried the unmistakable mark of human touch. She turned it over in her palm, smiling softly. She placed it back where she found it. Some things were meant to remain where they belonged. Evening on deck. As the sun descended toward the horizon, the crew gathered again. Dinner was simple: grilled fish, herbs, and bread toasted over a small flame. The air shimmered golden, and laughter came easily. When night fell, the sea became a mirror. Stars spilled across it like scattered silver dust. The air cooled, and the waves made a gentle hush, a lullaby older than language. Elena brought her blanket to the bow and lay down. The stars above her seemed so close she could trace them with her fingertips. Her thoughts drifted like soft clouds, of the ruins below, of the people who once walked those shores, of how life, like the sea, was always both loss and renewal. The whisper. A breeze moved through the rigging, carrying the faintest murmur, as if the sea itself were breathing stories. Elena closed her eyes. In that half-dreaming state between waking and sleep, she imagined the mosaic again, the dolphin swimming endlessly across the seafloor, graceful and serene. Around it, fragments of forgotten lives shimmered like stars under the water. She realized that archaeology was never just about what was lost. It was about remembering, quietly, gently, that everything we love leaves ripples. The boat rocked softly, matching the rhythm of her breath. Somewhere far below, waves traced the ruins with silver light, whispering lullabies of ancient days. And under that infinite Adriatic sky, Elena surrendered to sleep, peaceful, floating, timeless.